My name is Paul Reiber. I'm a member of the Krenov Foundation board, and we are going to interview students in the program on this last week of the school year. Hi.
Hi, Paul.
So, would you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Tessa Petrich. I have been at the Krenov School for the class of 2023 and 2024. I'm a second year, and I'm from San Francisco, California.
And what kind of woodworking background do you have before coming to the school?
So I studied architecture at Cal Poly before coming to the school, and there was a wood shop at the school, so I made a couple, not super fine pieces of furniture, but made a few. I made a bar table and lots of models for architecture projects out of wood before coming here. And then after graduating Cal Poly, I worked in a wood shop for about a year while I was also doing architecture work part-time. And once I kind of actually was working in a wood shop, I realized that it was something I wanted to do with more of my time. So I made a bookcase for my mom and a little doll bed for my boss's daughter, for an American Girl doll. And one of my former teachers saw the work that I had made and was like, "Have you heard of the Krenov School?" And I hadn't really heard of it, but I looked at the Krenov School website and was amazed by the quality of work. And I loved sort of the different things that were written about the school and the sensitivity and care that went into all the pieces here. I could kind of, even though it was just a precursory read through on the website, I could tell it was the style of place I would really flourish. So I kind of I was working an architecture job in San Francisco and was pretty well set up, but felt really drawn to just apply, even though I didn't know if I had enough woodworking experience. And in my portfolio, I mostly had photos of architecture models that I had made and the bookcase I made for my mom, but nothing extensive in terms of experience. So when I came here last year, or the previous year, it was all pretty new. I had used a jointer before, I had used a table saw, but I was kind of a noob.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have any particular moments at the school, either in terms of the teaching or your relationship to your projects that stand out for you?
Yeah, I feel I do feel a really heightened sensitivity to both myself and my surroundings and material, and that really solidified with my time here. I often feel more relaxed and at ease when I'm sort of working with my hands while thinking about things, and the space in the bench room totally is perfect for that, because you're really close up with your work. Anytime I was sort of with my head between my cabinet or looking in corners trying to make sure everything's seating right, I felt really in tune with myself. And then to be in a space where I am with all my close friends who are also doing the same thing, it felt very synchronized and meaningful. Even though it's small scale, it feels just right. And it's when you put two joints together and it just clicks right where it's supposed to go. That's sort of how it has felt the entire time being here.
Mm-hmm. What's it been like for you moving from San Francisco to a little town on the coast?
Well, I did grow up originally, so my parents split up when I was 2, and my dad was in San Francisco, in the outer Sunset, and my mom was down in Montera, which is a small coastal town just south of the city. So I did kind of grow up in a small coastal town, even though a lot of my life was in San Francisco. And then I ended up going to high school in the city, and all of that was more of an adjustment, because I was, taking public transportation and around lots of people, and it was quite hectic living there as an adult. Right before coming here, I was in my own apartment and commuting to work on my bike and got my catalytic converter stolen out of my Prius like a month before I was supposed to drive up
great.
here. And rent was really expensive, and I just was kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all. So like getting to slow down and be here and just have like, okay, my task today is to like drive to the Krenov School and go like do some work, do as much as I can that day. And in my off time, I run on the trails and bike and go surfing in the ocean. So like my lifestyle here has been just like incredibly fulfilling, even though there's less to do, there's more to do in other ways.
Yeah.
And I love, running into Greg Smith or Eiler around town and seeing people. It's fun. Drive by Ron Hawk's house on my way home.
How is your experience at school changed or impacted your sense of your future?
So I've always wanted to, I've been fascinated with sort of the like master builder of architects in like the early 1900s, late 1800s. The architects who really like did the whole process, like Charles Rene Mackintosh, he designed buildings and then built the furniture within it and kind of was there through every step of the process. And there's this really beautiful language of like the designer that comes through when someone sees the process all the way through. So I think I always had this dream of kind of being a person who could do that, like design a home and everything in it. And part of coming to the Krenov School was like, okay, I did architecture school. I know how to do drawings. I can work in an architecture office, but like, I don't really know how to build things, but I want to build some really nice things. So then to like have my first deep dive into woodworking be at the Krenov School, now I feel like a really heightened awareness of like how you can do things right. Like I have Jim Budlong in the back of my head being like sort of guiding me, which I feel really grateful to have. I'm like, what would Jim do? I often think, or like, what would Greg do? Or what would Laura do? And then now I think I would love to maybe work doing some finished carpentry stuff so I can kind of like actually help on a full home build. And then I'll feel kind of like well-rounded in terms of being able to do that. And I'd love to like build homes for my families and friends and myself in the future, even just small scale. I sort of have this dream of building custom nooks of different kinds, like a breakfast nook or a little reading zone bench or storage areas that are kind of designed to the level of furniture, but just like fit seamlessly within a house that already exists. So I'm hoping to like do that in the future.
Fun.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking you got a scholarship.
Yeah, I did this year.
How did that impact your
That was huge because I feel like I wasn't really able to justify doing a second year if I was going to do it just all out of savings, because my savings were running really low after last year, because it's a huge deal to quit your job and not work for 9 months, and then to do it for 2 years is almost like financially irresponsible. So getting a scholarship really made me feel like I could do it. And now to see the trajectory of the work I made my first semester here as a first year to like the chair I just finished, it's like amazing to see how far that I've come in a short period of time. And I'm really grateful for the support at this program and also from the Krenov Foundation to be able to like do that financially too.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
This has been fun.
Thanks so much.